Tonight's event will be live streamed on Facebook, so you can go back and look at any of the talks. If you're like, wait, what was that thing? What was that piece of paper that I needed to do this thing? Or what was it that recording said? It will all be live streamed on a Facebook, on a YouTube channel. That's Meh Talks. And any pertinent information will also be uploaded and linked on Facebook. My name is Shanna Martinez. If you need to find me on Facebook, I'm all over the place. Our first speaker tonight is Rebecca Hutcheson, and she is going to be talking about something that I desperately need, the whole 7 kids situation that I've got going on. And her talk is entitled, You Need a Budget. Get your ass out of debt, stop living paycheck to paycheck, and have money to set aside for going out on weeknights to hear women speak about mediocre stuff.
Hello. I'm really excited to be here, really excited to see everyone. Can you hear me? This is going to be really freaky having to hear my own voice. So, good? Okay. All right. And we are on the start page. So, You Need a Budget is actually the name of a budgeting software that I use. And many others. It was actually recommended to me by Kate Hodges, and I should have used it when she first told me about it, because it would have been much farther along. But I'm going to talk a little bit about how I got into budgeting and why it's become my very weird obsession. And I feel bad for all my friends who have to hear me talk about it all the time. So, next slide. Okay. See, this started about 2 years ago, and the catalyst for me getting our family into budgeting was my husband, pictured here, and my lovely daughter. We were going grocery shopping, and we were kind of talking about baby number 2, and this was 2 years ago, so not this baby. But I told my husband, I was like, we should probably start thinking about planning to like buy a minivan or upgrade your truck or something. And he said, we don't have any money. And I thought to myself, well, you just bought yourself a brand new lawnmower with our tax return money, so that's definitely money. Why couldn't that money go to minivan? I was just seething. I was like, we do have money. You're just so stupid. But I love him, and we got through it. I just need to keep going? Okay. And then right about the same time was his student loan recertification thing for the income-based. And the company wouldn't process the forms. They had everything. Like, we've got it, we just won't do it. But if they didn't do it, our payment could be as double our mortgage. And of course, that would be devastating for family to all of a sudden have to pay a bill that is double your mortgage. And so we were just freaking out. And finally, they processed it, and it actually went down. And so we were really thankful. And it's like, we're not going to be like this again. We're living paycheck to paycheck. We only have a little bit left over every month. We just look at the bank account and we just spend until it gets down to something kind of scary, and then we stop, and that's just not how we want to live anymore. So, and I mean, fortunate for us, I had been working part-time, and my husband has a really good job, and you know, so we have a decent income, but it just, like, we didn't have any savings. We didn't have anything for emergencies. If something came up, we were just like, whatever, you know, I guess we'll figure it out. My husband had credit card debt that we weren't even using the credit card, but from a move, he had just racked up, as that happens, you know, and we were just paying minimum payments, and it was just like, this thing will never go away. So something had to change, and so finally, I got sick of hearing about the debt. I had student loans. We had a car loan, and again, this living paycheck to paycheck was just like absolute nonsense. So what we decided to do differently was, next slide, I looked up the YNAB app, and so I'm going to try to make this more general, but also use the principles that it teaches because it was so beneficial for me, and I see how it's really beneficial for other people who start out. We created a written budget, and so when people hear the word budget, they think, oh no, I just have to stop spending, and I can't spend anything, and I don't get to go anywhere fun, and I don't get to eat out, and I don't get to buy a new sweater if I want one, but you do, so it just has to be written down. So what YNAB does is you tell your money what to do for you. You line up your bills, you line up your expenditures. We give ourselves spending money. We have eating out money. Mine might be a little higher than his. It was really, really freeing to do that. Instantly in the first month, because of how it's set up, and you'll see later, it's like you have all your bills and all your categories lined out. So all your dollars that you have physically in your bank account have jobs. So if you get to the end of the month and we only had, I'll just make up, like if you only had $300 left, and it's like, oh my God, but we have a week left, and it's like, oh, but with this program, I can see all my bills are paid because they're taken out at the beginning of the month, and I still have this money allocated for groceries, and we only need a week's worth, so like, we're fine, we're gonna be fine. Another thing we started doing was we created the debt snowball. Well, we didn't create it, but we started applying it to our debt and got really aggressive with it. We were just tired of having student loans, that credit card that was never going away, giving our money away to interest. So in the first 6 months, we really buckled down, and we paid off about $14,000 of medical debt. Credit card was gone, and 2 of my student loans were gone, and that was so amazing. And so we took the money from those minimum payments and applied it to the next item. So minimums on everything except your smallest balance, and like anything extra you can throw at it. And then so when that first one's paid off, you add that minimum payment to the next one, and it kind of snowballs and gets bigger. If you'd never heard of the concept before, it was new to me at the time. We also did a balance transfer where we took some of our credit card debt and applied it to a zero interest just to kind of eat away at some of that interest, and we paid that off as well, and that was pretty awesome. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the program itself, but I'll try and keep it as general as possible in case you don't want to use it, or it just might be too much, because I mean I think this would be great for everybody, but if it's, anyway, the next slide. So the 4 main rules for that YNAB uses, and I think could be applicable if you just wanted to sit down with an Excel sheet or even track with an app like Mint for a few months to kind of see what your money's doing, is rule 1 is you give every dollar a job, which was what I was talking about a minute ago. Like, you take all the money that you have, not the money that you expect to have, all the money that you have, and you give it a job. Your rent, your groceries, your gas, your fun money. And then you go to rule 2, which is embrace your true expenses, which then if you have any left over, you can start funding the things that you know are going to come up, but, that you know are going to come up, and you have to have money for that too. Rule 3 is roll the punches, and that's kind of the guilt-free spending of YNAB. There's no rule that says you have to do it a certain way. If something comes up, you can change it, and that's okay, and YNAB doesn't care. You got to make it, you just want to fit it to where it fits your life. And rule 4 is age your money, which is the ultimate goal of YNAB is to get your money that you make this month to allocate it for next month's expenses, and I'll talk a little bit about that too and why I don't really care about it. So next slide, please. So just a little bit more in depth about the give every dollar a job. So the reason you want to use the money that you have now is so that you can in real time see what you have allocated. So if I have money for rent, or no, let's do dining out. Like say, my restaurant money. If I get paid twice a month, I can't fund a whole month's worth of restaurant money or dining out money at the beginning because half of that money doesn't exist yet. those dollars have to go somewhere else. So with any plan, just think, what does this money need to do until I get paid again? So you can mentally forecast, or you can do it like in Excel or something, be like, well, I know in 2 paychecks I'll have enough for rent or a bill at the end of the month. But if you have other stuff like groceries and gas that you have to fund, you have to do that in steps. So again, the budgeting to zero doesn't mean you're spending to zero, because some of those dollars are going to have jobs later, which is what Rule 2 is. Next slide. Thanks. Which is the embrace your true expenses. So if you have, and at the beginning we didn't have money for our true expenses, things like your emergency fund, your car and school registration, the stuff that comes up, holiday shopping. I don't think I've ever put money away for the holidays or for Christmas in January before, and this year I did, and we've met our goal this month. So like every month I've been able to put aside $50 to get me to where I wanted to be. And that's, something that I've never had before. And, you could do smaller amounts for other things like auto maintenance. We put $30 away because I know every 3 or 4 months I'm going to need an oil change. That money's going to have to come from somewhere. And I'm not going to want to take it from my dining out money. So I want to try and make sure that those funds are available beforehand. Another cool thing about, which I'll show in a little bit, about the true expenses is this bottom set called Set Goals. Within the program, you can have it do the math for you. Say, like, I need to have $300 for something 6 months from now. So it'll tell you you should probably spend this much a month or save this much a month so you can get there, so that you don't get 6 months out and you're like, oh shit, I have to come up with $300. Where is that $300 going to come from? You just do it a little bit each month. And I know it definitely varies depending on what your family income is, what your expenses are, daycare, just like food, vacation, or medical emergencies, things like that come up, and it can be pretty nuts. But this is kind of set to where at least you're thinking and at least you're planning ahead. So they're coming up even if you can't fund them right away. And which is kind of what I was talking about with Rule 3. Things happen and that's okay. So our first year we were really, really into paying down debt. So when the car registration came up in January, I was like, oh, damn it. And so that money had to come from somewhere. And then my daughter's preschool registration came up, and I was like, oh, I had not thought about that before, so I'm definitely going to put that in there now. Sports pictures, school pictures, all kinds of stuff like that. I move money all the time. I've been doing it for a little over 2 years. You're not binded by anything. You can move the money around. If you are out shopping and you see a really cute sweater and you're like, you know what? Maybe I get the oil changed in another 500 miles. So that happens, maybe. I don't know, for some people. It's okay. But as long as you're covering the spending and you understand your priorities, so maybe I got 1 sweater instead of 2 sweaters that day because I didn't want to take that much out of my fund money, or I didn't want to take that much out of another random category, or I didn't want to take it from the baby fund because this is a maternity sweater. So there are no, I wanted to make, there is no, so do I want X more than Y? Do I want this item more than I want the thing that I've been saving for 6 months? Yeah, sure, I do want that. I want that fish taco. I'm really hungry and I'm pregnant, and try and tell me I can't have that right now. But there's no police there's no YNAB police and be like, I see you moving your money into that spending. You didn't need that necklace. Well, no one's gonna come and tell you no if your priorities change, or you have to take out of your emergency fund for a car repair because you bumped into something at the grocery store. Like, it's okay because you're planning, and the security of knowing where your money is and what it's doing. Even if it starts out very low, which is where we were. It builds over time. So, and that's rule 4, is that eventually, after a while, you're like, oh man, we were able to cut down this debt, and we took a pause, and so we started funding other things. Like, we had a family vacation come up, and I wanted to pay cash for that. And then we needed to get our septic tank pumped, and thank God we did that, because apparently we had a month left to get that taken care of. So, like, all those things could be paid for in cash, and I didn't have to wait until after there was a septic disaster in my yard, which would have felt bad for my neighbors, because we live on a hill, so it would have just like, whoops, gross. YNAB's biggest thing is creating something called a buffer, which is where you have a month's worth of expenses ahead of time. So any money that I get this month, I am putting towards December, and we're not there. And so just because I've been doing YNAB for 2 years doesn't mean I'm perfect or doing it. I have an emergency fund. We have an emergency fund. We've paid for things in cash. We've gotten rid of debt. We have, we're going to tackle the next part of the student loans soon, hopefully. But typically, don't worry about, like, if you get this specific program, do what you got to do what you can do to get, because to me, it's more important that you know what your money is doing for you, and it's doing what you told it to do, rather than it ruling your life, and you get to the end of the month and you have no idea what's going on. So this is, this next slide will show just kind of like what the program, it's all washed out, but you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. So all the green bubbles are money that you have put into your specific categories, and you can't see them, but it's like rent and electric and water and internet. Over on this blue side right here are the like your accounts. So whatever money is in there is over in these green bubbles, and it's only the money that you have. And that number up top is 400. So if I had $400 in my savings account, because I hear a lot of people will be like, what do I do with you just create a category, plop it down into emergency fund. But since you can't see it, we'll move on to the next slide. I'm just kind of going through the features of it that I think makes this one really cool. So next one is the goals, which I was talking about. You can't read it, but that's okay. So in this example, these are not my numbers. Home maintenance is $500. Apparently, these people wanted $3,000 in 3 months. Good luck. Okay, but that's so that shows that that's 50% funded. And if it's orange, it means you need a budget more, or you're not quite there. But that's okay. Like, again, I have things that I would love to fund. Like, I'd love to save for new tires now, and not in 6 months when they all crap out on me. But it's just what my priorities are right now. Like, I'd rather that expense come up and take it out of my emergency fund than try and take it from stuff that I'm already trying to fund, like medical or car insurance. If you pay that every 6 months or a year. Another really cool thing about this program is it actually shows you reports. So over time, it'll show you percentages of what you've spent your money on. So I looked at ours, and it's like 20% of our income goes to just household bills. And it's like, wow, that's a lot of money when you add it up together. So, but it's just kind of a fun tool to see, like, oh, I shouldn't spend so much money on sweaters after all, even if they're maternity. So, and after, I can wear this lots of times, right? Okay, so, and another cool thing that I really like is the mobile app. Again, you can't see those things, but it's really cool, I promise. It shows you in real time what are your category, I don't know what that category balances are. So if I'm out shopping and I'm like, I really want a bunch of storage bins for all the shit in my house. How much do I have in my home maintenance category? I can only buy this many bins, or I decide that I actually need this much for all my kids' shit. I'm not, and I don't need toilet paper for a few weeks. I'll borrow some from there. So you can, what you can't see is that the app will do things in real time, and that's the best way to kind of keep track of your money, so that like at the beginning of the weekend, and then you maybe haven't kept up with your spending, and then you think you have a lot of extra money for, like, I'll use dining out again, and then everything hits. But if you keep track of it, then you can see in real time, like, I don't need that extra margarita after all. Or maybe you do. Again, it's Friday. It's been a long damn week. So, and this is just, again, something that YNAB offers. They offer all these classes for free. They do about 120 classes a week. They're about 30 minutes long. Some of them are, it's getting started, mastering credit cards, budget in 10 minutes a week. If you just think, like, this is like a lot of stuff, Rebecca, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. But there's a budget in 10 minutes a week, so maybe start small, start general. It's just, I just feel like this is the goofiest thing, but it's something I'm so passionate about, and it's given our family so much security. And, like, I know where everything is, and even if we don't have money for it, it's okay, because I know that I could pull money from somewhere, or, my birthday's in March, so if I had to, I could pull my birthday money. Like, kids' birthdays are expensive, right? Like, all of a sudden it's like $200 and I just bought a fruit tray. Like, why? So that's something I definitely put in the budget after that came up. So I try and save a little bit every month, so that, damn kids' birthdays. They're not going to eat it anyway. All they want is that damn cake. But it's just, I know, I love it. I know a lot of other, there's support all the time. There's a Facebook page, and then real quick, I'll get to it is not free, but there's a 34-day free trial. There's a link I could give you online. There's like a blog link that's like 3 months free, and then, like, if you get a referral from somebody like me, or there are many YNABers in the groups, that's like another month free. So you could have 5 free months to figure it out, and then it's $6.99 a month. I think the price just went up. Might have been today. So if you can get home and, like, log in and just make something up, and then even if you just forget it, you can go back and ask, like, oops, Thanksgiving was really hard. Can I have a free month again? And they'll be like, sure, we love everybody. So it's just, it's a really great program. They're really well supported, and it's just done so much for me and my family. So I think I've got like 3 minutes for questions if anybody has anything they want to ask or clarify on. I hope that was interesting and informative. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Thanks.
That was awesome. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to just come up and ask her at the mic, and then we will all benefit from your question and her answer. I have a question.
Sure.
When you started, how long did it take you to sort of feel like you were at least like moderately competent at the new program? Like, looking at it from an outsider perspective, I'm like, whoa, I'm totally overwhelmed. Like, I'm really convinced of its efficacy, but I'm just like, whoa, I feel like it feels like it has a steep learning curve. How long did it take you to feel like, all right, we kind of got this? Like, I kind of know what's going on.
It was pretty quick, just because I stayed at home. I only worked part-time. And at the time they were offering the subscription free if you if you took the classes and like you were randomly selected, you got a free trial. So I took like the getting started like 4 times. So that helped a lot too. But again, I didn't want to scare anybody away with all the things, because as I started doing this, I was like, it does so much, but you can really tailor it to how you want it. Again, just start general, like anything that you buy at the grocery store is what your category is. The first month for us was really refreshing, like I said, because we got to the end of the month and it's like, oh, we have 2 weeks left, but we only have this much, but all these bills are paid. Like, I can see it. And the classes are like, they're always there. They're always willing to help. The Facebook group is not mean at all. They're really like They're really nice. Everybody's, all the newbie questions. But I see other people on that. It's like, it's taken me a month. I've fallen off 3 times. I just need to get started, and everybody's really encouraging. And you can always reach out to me personally, like if you have any questions. But the first month was really great, and then the second month, all my husband's ER bills came in, and then it was like, and he was fine. But so.
But you're budgeting.
But I was like, oh no. So that definitely like bumped up a lot of, and like being budget conscious has made me more aware of like getting my daughter started for college, or at least putting something out there so that at least the grandparents can start helping. I feel way more aware about what to choose for like my health insurance, stuff like that. So. I don't know if I answered your question, but it can take a while. But there are classes. It walks you through like the first. It'll say like, do these 5 things, and you can kind of play with it from there.
Awesome.
So that's okay. Awesome. Well, thank you very much.